ADDOMEx project is looking at marine snow, which is a material that's produced after the spill, and it's a combination of microbial communities with oil, and they all glue up together, and that's a way for the oil to go back to the sediments. And so if you're a surface dwelling organism like a fish, then that means the oil is getting stripped out of your habitat and going back down to the sediments. If you live in the sediments, life can get really tough because that oil is returning back to the sediments. And we've known about marine snow since the beginning of the 19th century, but it's been very poorly studied, and it's only been studied in terms of what it's used for by the food web. And the project that we have now has given us an opportunity to study it in a way that would never have been possible before. And so we've got biologists, chemists, engineers all working together to understand how this material is formed, how it's modified in the environment, what the consequences are of this material to the food web, to the environment, and that's pretty special. I would say just that our really deep understanding that we're getting of how this material comes together, how it's formed, and under what conditions is it more likely to form, and how stable it is, so that when folks ask us questions like the fishermen, we can say things like, well, this is going to form and it's only going to be around for a day or two, not 30 days or 2 months. So that's important for us. Also understanding that not the entire ecosystem, we study the base of the food web, the phytoplankton and the bacteria.
Right.
Not the entire base of the food web is equally impacted. And so that means that when something like this happens, we're not going to wipe out the entire base of the food web. We're going to wipe out, yes, parts of it, but the system will recover from this kind of event, and it will continue to flourish in the future. I think that's, for us, really, really important. For the Gulf of Mexico, our findings are showing that there is a lot of resilience at the base of the food web in terms of dealing with oil spills, and that may be in part because if you look at the Gulf, there's more than 6,000 rigs out there. So these little guys have obviously adapted and evolved various strategies to deal with oil spills. And so those small spills that happen almost on a daily basis aren't going to be a serious threat. It takes something of the order of the Deepwater Horizon to cause this kind of consequence. So in terms of the Gulf, the microbial communities are fairly resilient. They'll take that hit and then they will recover in due course. The other thing with our research is just talking to different parts of the community. We've been able to talk to the first responders, we've been able to talk to fishermen, we're working with healthcare professionals, what are the consequences in terms of human health, and whether that's through things that people eat, or whether that's somebody going for a swim and what happens to them.
Sure.
And just creating a really big community, not just the scientists, but a community as a whole across the Gulf that has a deeper understanding of this. And drilling for oil is not going to go away. People are not going to leave Gulf states. We love living in the Gulf, and so we need to work together and understand each other and just kind of figure things out. Marine snow is now part of the conversation, and for me that's pretty darn amazing, and it wasn't part of the conversation before. So that means when they initially respond to an oil spill, they're considering the marine snow in their models and understanding how to respond to the spill. Also means that the folks who are responding themselves are more aware of what this material is, and that gives me peace of mind, because when they're out there doing their work, the fact that they know what it is and what the consequences of it are is great as well. So that for me is very, very powerful.